I would like to call to order the August 4, 2021 meeting of the Pottstown Borough Council. This is our committee meeting of the whole. Would you kindly rise for a moment of silence, followed by the pledge to the flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, first on our list this evening, we have a presentation, Darius Smallwood. Anyone?
Well, I'm walking over here.
Oh.
Darius, you want to come up here? So, Councilman Paul brought to our attention this wonderful young citizen of Pottstown, and so we would like to give him a proclamation before he goes off to Penn State College. Which campus? Nice. So, if you don't mind, I would like to read this to you. The Borough of Pottstown is privileged and honored to represent a proclamation to Darius Smallwood for his athletic and academic achievements while a student at Pottstown High School. Whereas Darius Smallwood, a 2021 Trojan senior, set a new Pottstown High School record in the 800-meter dash, and he was named to the first team Pioneer Athletic All-Conference Boys Track Team, and is a 2021 Pennsylvania Interscholastic Athletic Association state champ in the 800-meter dash with a time of 1 minute 51.91 seconds. And Darius placed sixth in the nation at the National Scholastic Athletics Foundation Outdoor National Track Meet held in Eugene, Oregon, and named the Mercury Area Male Athlete of the Year for 2021. Need shorter titles. And whereas Darius was named to the Pioneer Athletic All-Academic Team and is an academic honor student at Pottstown High School, Darius Smallwood is cheered and applauded by the residents and proud citizens of the Borough of Pottstown and Pottstown High School. Thank you, Darius, for being a phenomenal citizen of Pottstown.
Next, I'd like to welcome Attorney Paul Prince to give us information about LIFT.
I hope you'll forgive me, but I'm going to sit.
So will we.
First of all, I apologize, members of the council, for not being here last month. Unfortunately, something came up that I could not avoid, as a result of which you graciously allowed this to be rescheduled for this meeting. I appreciate it.
Paul, could you just move the microphone closer just so everybody can hear?
Is that better?
Everybody hear?
Is that better?
But, yeah.
So first of all, I want to thank you for everything you've done for Pottstown Lift, for allowing us this opportunity to address our needs. I am not going to regale you with the history of what we are or what we accomplished or what we're doing, because I think you've all heard that in the past, and you don't need a repetition, and time is precious. What I'd like to do briefly is address what you don't know. I'd like to give you a short introduction to the history of LIFT, because it goes a long way to explaining what we are and why we're here tonight. Pottstown Lift was the idea of two Pottstonians who are dedicated local citizens, Alan Altschul of blessed memory and George Bell. They had an idea that they wanted to create an incubator. They wanted to set up a facility in the borough that would provide a home for other nonprofits that could not afford quarters, that could not afford all of the mechanization and the computerization that's available today. So the idea was to set up a centralized office, provide facilities, and provide training facilities for students in conjunction with, it was the dream of GPF, Greater Pottstown Foundation, to provide training for students in exotic sciences that aren't available at the high school. So they tried to acquire premises. They actually had an agreement of sale of St. Al's for the property. And unfortunately, COVID occurred, and that put an end to the dream of creating that educational facility in the newer building at St. Al's. And the reason for that was because COVID forced St. Al's to confront the need for more space, and they had to generate and use some of those buildings. They did, however, very graciously allow us to entertain one of what had then been a long-term dream to create a warming center in Pottstown for the homeless. They did allow us to create that last year, as you know, and you have graciously extended that for the 2021-22 winter. We've endeavored to address, at least some of us, to provide help, promote their dignity, and eliminate a community blight that no one else has really attempted to solve. I've called it a blight only because it's perceived that way sometimes by the business community. But I suggest to you it's not a blight. We're talking about our fellow Pottstonians. We've endeavored to address it. We want to help. We want to promote their dignity. And we want to attempt to do what we perceive to be a reflection of what our community really is. You know, history is long, but memories are short. And the history of Pottstown is not well written or recorded, nor is it studied in our schools. I want to talk to you momentarily about some of that history because I think it sheds light on where this community has always stood, which has always been on the side of those who were deprived, downtrodden, with respect for everyone. For instance, whether you know it or not, in Germany, in the 30s, there was an event called Kristallnacht, when Jews were rounded up and synagogues were destroyed. One of the very first communities in this country to speak out by resolution, asking Congress to address what was occurring in Germany, was this borough, by resolution, submitted to Congress. The KKK marched down High Street one year in the 30s, and we all know the history of the organization and how they prospered in some of our area communities. But they didn't succeed in Pottstown because they were met on East High Street by people of all colors and all faiths. And they never came back because they didn't get a welcome in Pottstown. GPF has attempted to pursue notions of tolerance, and your organization, the Borough of Pottstown, passed a resolution approving the notion of tolerance and the creation of a Tolerance Day, and so did the state of Pennsylvania after you acted. You acted, Pottstown acted. You have encouraged in this borough religious institutions of every faith. Imagine, we have mosques, we have synagogues, we have churches of every variety and nature, all here in Pottstown, all successful, all working together and living in the community in peace. No marching, no demonstrations, no destruction, no firebombs. That's our community. So I think that's a shining history that we need to actually attempt to emulate, and that's what our organization does. So what do we want? We have a property at 161 North Charlotte Street that we are able to acquire with your help and assistance. Paul Desch very graciously has offered to donate it to us. He's donating the building, but we will need to spend over $400,000 to update and modify it and make the building a modern, capable building. So what do we want to do with it? We want to do two of those original ideas that Alan Altshaw, George Bell had. We want to create a year-round transition center, year-round. We want to cater to the medical, the physical, the spiritual, the emotional needs of the forlorn and the lost Pottstonians who have nowhere to go. And by that, I don't consider hiding out in the woods, down by the river, a place for Pottstonians to go and attempt to live. And secondly, we want to create a centralized office facility where nonprofits can come, have space, be in a unique incubator setting where we can nurture them, and as our mission statement says, hopefully see them spin off, prosper, and survive on their own as independent 501c3s. We examined a number of other locations, and frankly, there was no other location that was suitable from a transportation, cost, or zoning basis. We can't stay at St. Al's, you all know that. There's currently no program to address the homeless that focuses on the summer heat. We focused last year on the winter cold. But what about the summer heat? And what about our seniors who have no air conditioning? So what we want to do is create this transition center, summer and winter, and also hopefully provide a cooling center for the elderly who have no air conditioning. Are these needs that we expect to accomplish tomorrow? No. But they are our plan for the future that we're working towards. We're going to use, and we've made arrangements for it and already acquired the van, we're going to use our own vehicles for transporting people so that they can come to our center without the need to walk through town, without the need to run the physical harm of just the exercise and effort that it takes, depending on where you are in the community. We want to transport our guests. We want to see to their needs, and we want to help them. Despite our best efforts, the current parking requirements of 161 North Charlotte Street won't allow us to do anything with that building. I mean, candidly, the zoning is impossible. I'm a long-term resident of this community. My family's been here for over 150 years. I want to see this community prosper and succeed as much as anyone. But we need arrangements and provisions that allow the use of our buildings, many of which are really historic buildings, and which currently sit empty, like the Desch building that's being offered to us. Changing your code, which is what we've asked for and what we forwarded to your solicitor, that'll allow us to add the space of the Desch building, prevent the external lines we get confronted at where we are at St. Al's because we just don't have the space, and meet the goals of our mission statement. Ladies and gentlemen, all of our religious faiths and all of our moral codes in this country are premised on helping one another. That's our mission. A handout in the hopes it will become a hand up. Now we urge you, at no cost to the community, and for the benefit of our entire community, follow in the footsteps of our history, here, Pottstown's history. Help us help others by authorizing the proposed zoning changes we have requested. Thank you. I'm happy to take any questions. Otherwise, I'll bid you adieu. I have one agenda.
How many individuals were you hoping to home in one period of time? I heard is it
It-
close to 30?
Ours is a daily organization. It's a transitory program. our program is designed to take in the homeless and find a place for them provided by the county or any of the other organizations that provide services to Pottstown. So our goal is to have no one stay more than 3 days. We have had in one case, somebody, I think, had to stay almost 2 weeks because all the various placement agencies, nobody seemed to have any space. But we're a transition center. Our goal is to get people off the streets that are freezing in the winter, overheated in the summer, that don't have a place to live, that create problems for themselves and the community, and candidly, that have been a difficulty for the police department and the social welfare agencies. You know, it is our problem. We need to address it. It's no different than San Francisco or Los Angeles addressing their problems. The difference is nobody's asking the borough to use your tax dollars and my tax dollars to build a structure to house the homeless. We want to take care of it for you. We don't want any of your money. I mean, if you want to give it to us, we'll be happy to take it from you. But we're doing this with donations. This is the people of Pottstown coming together to help our fellow citizens, Pottstonians. We don't want you to provide for authorization for anybody other than Pottstonians. And you can do that by ordinance. We're looking at Pottstonians and helping those who need help.
So I'm assuming that you said placing institutions, it's not just going to be Pottstonians like you claim. So the
No,
people who
you
need
mis-
help
no,
are
you
only
misunderstood.
going to be Pottstown.
You misunderstand me, Don. There are organizations that exist. For instance, Montgomery County has contracted with the cluster for the cluster to organize and manage placement of housing for citizens throughout Montgomery County. It's a Pottstown organization that places individuals who come into the system and are in need of housing. What they can only do and place as is available through the county system. And frankly, there are, and we have run into some occasions where there's just a shortage of spaces. But no, our focus, our mission with regard to Alice, heartwarming center, is to take people off the street who are in need, provide them a place where they can, over a course of several days, address their health, address their spiritual needs, address their physicality, and hopefully find a place where we can move them where they can do better and live better. And if you're asking me, is that a solution that's going to solve every single problem for every single person? Obviously, we already know that the answer to that is no. I had a good friend, a classmate from Pottstown, who went to, who was in Vietnam, and he didn't come back intact. And he died on the street here in town. There was no place for him. Nobody wanted him. I don't want to see anybody do that again, ever. Not in my town. Not in your town. That's our mission.
Anyone else? Thank you.
Thank you very much. I wish you all well and a good evening. Stay safe. And even if you're vaccinated, wear a mask.
Presentation on 2021, the street paving plan. Is that you, Doug, or?
That's me, I'll take that one. All right, so wanted to present tonight our plan for 2021 paving this year. We are in the process of going through the selection of the roadways. In your packets tonight, we've provided counselors with a map as well as a listing of all the roadways that are planned to be paved this year. Your list will not reflect all the paving that's being done in the borough. It will just reflect the paving that is being done through the borough contract. As you'll see in here, there are other contracts through the authority, through PICO, that will be conducted as well. So we have 60 miles of roadways, 19 miles of alleys. As you know, most of these are not ordained or adopted by the borough, and therefore fall to the responsibility of the adjacent property owners. We have several state roads in town These are listed here below for you to see. Hanover, High Street, Charlotte Street, just to name a few. And I'm having a little delay here. There we go. And there's three main funding sources that cover the paving cost on borough-owned roadways. Those are state funds, borough authority funds via water and sewer main replacements, and then utility companies like PECO. We do dedicate about $25,000 annually for maintenance on borough roadways, such as filling potholes, and that is an ongoing process that we try to stay on top of. So when we put together the paving plan, we go through a ranking system, 1 through 5. And at 1, that's the first year after paving. Number 2, the road starts to show signs of cracking. 3, the road has multiple cracks in it. And then at 4, the roadway starts to experience some expanded cracking. And then at 5, we're above. This is where the roadway really starts to fall apart. It's been patched many times and still not holding. So what we try to do with our plan is to identify roadways that are ranked 5 as the priority for paving, because these roadways are in the worst condition. So right now, we have 11.2 miles of borough roadways that are rated at a 5. And that number is actually down from 2 years ago. I think 2 years ago we were at about 14 miles that were at that ranking. So we're making a little bit of progress. So the borough's paving contract mainly, again, goes after these roadways that are ranked at number 5. But given the funding that's provided by the state, we're only able to do about 3 miles of roadway each year under that program. So the blue shows the total miles, the orange shows rating at number 5, and then 2021 miles funded is in the gray. And we always have careful consideration for any planned or sometimes even unplanned underground utility projects in the event that newly paved roads have to be dug up for utility replacement. We try to avoid that at all costs. And prior to establishing our plan, we also take videos of the sewer mains to analyze the condition of the pipes. If the pipes look like they're in poor condition and they're going to need to be replaced soon, that may mean that even though a roadway is ranked at a number 5 and it's the worst roadway in the borough, the authority plans to replace this pipe next year, and we would hold off on paving it this year. Also, we coordinate with PECO. As you saw, some of their gas work that they did out in the north end to make sure that we're not paving right before they're doing their work, because they're going to have to pave those streets when they get done up there. And we attempt as much as possible to try to influence the location with PECO and PennDOT and other entities that we're coordinating with. So you can see this year's program is broken out on the map on 4 different color codes. So the red color would be the borough contract. That's about 3.78 miles that we're able to do based on the amount of state funding that we're getting this year. The authority is doing about a half a mile of paving as well. And PECO Gas, they're going to be doing about 0.4 miles of paving, and that's in yellow. And then PECO Electric, they're doing 1.12 miles of paving, and that's in magenta. So here's the map for everyone to see. Again, the purple or the magenta color, that is High Street. So this is being paved by PECO as a part of their underground electric replacement project. And we do have an update on that for everyone. It does look like they're going to be done with their trench work and their wire pulling by the end of August. And then they plan to start paving High Street in September. So that length from Madison to Manatawny is still planned to be paved this year by PennDOT. There is another plan to pave the westernmost area of High Street and the easternmost area of High Street. That's being conducted by PennDOT. And we weren't able to get an update from them as to whether or not that was going to happen this year or not. I think they intended it to happen this year, but we're still waiting on confirmation. So some of the major roadways that the borough is going to pave this year are going to be portions of Evans between Beach and Apple, portions of Chestnut Street, Shoemaker Road, portions of Wilson Street, and then also you can see kind of mostly on the east end of town, we have some Pico gas paving projects that are going to be occurring this year, and then as well as a water sewer main replacement projects on Spruce Street, Henry Street, and Cherry Street. So that is our list for that year. And again, I have the wrong number here. This was the number from 2 years ago, the 14.3 miles. We're now down to about 12 miles that are at this ranking. So the real question that we get a lot is what funding is left for alleys? And because we have so many roadways ranked at number 5, these are higher traveled areas, more kind of important for school buses, emergency services, even most of the residents to get in and out of town. We prioritize those over alleys, and also because alleys are not ordained. The borough does not actually own most of the alleys, and they're the responsibility of the adjoining property owner. So, we know that there are a lot of concerns about the alleys, and we've been looking at ways to try to address that creatively, both using grant sources, also recycled materials is another thing that we look at using for some alternative paving techniques. And we have several pilot programs that we've been undertaking. So this first one has been in existence for just about 4 years now. And what we do when we conduct our paving projects is the millings that are taken off the top of the road, we actually store those and save those and use those to help repave the alleys with the excess milling. So we have a couple different sites where we're monitoring this. And as you can see at this location, it's holding up fairly well after 4 years. The other project involved the installation of a driving surface aggregate. This is a interlocking aggregate technology developed by Penn State University, and we were able to get a $230,000 grant to install this driving surface aggregate on a Willow Street alley between Erie and East Streets. And the benefit of this material, there were also some stormwater improvements put into this. There was a perforated pipe put underneath the alley, and there was also a water quality inlet that was installed just uphill of the alley as well. And this also helps us to meet our MS4 stormwater management requirements. We have to reduce our sediment contribution to Goose Run over the next 5 years. So this was the first project to address that. And we were about able to meet halfway, our goal halfway there from what the Conservation District is requiring us to do. So the number looks a little high just for an alley, but I want everyone to know there was a lot of other stormwater improvements that went into that as well. So this was finalized in early 2020. And then this picture was just taken this week on the alleyway. You can see that the stone is holding up very well so far. We've had very little issues. We were concerned with the snow that somebody might plow the alley and knock some of the stones out of place. But it really, with the bad winter that we had, it wasn't really damaged that much. There were only a couple ruts we found in this. And then also, if you look down the other half of the alley, it doesn't contain this surface, but it's downslope from the alley, and there's very little driving surface aggregate material migrating from this area onto the unpaved part of the alley. So it does seem to be serving its purpose, and we are going to be applying for another grant, hopefully in the near future, to do another alley with this type of material through a grant. So people often ask, if the alleys that aren't adopted, the responsibility of the adjoining property owners, they have the right to use that to access the property as well as their neighbors. But when it comes to repairs, obviously we're relying on grants, excess materials to try to, address the alleyways because we have to dedicate all of our paving money to the roadways due to their condition. But there is an option for homeowners to hire a contractor to commission the paving of their own unordained alley. And first you want to talk to Public Works, make sure you're clear about the requirements, the permits that will be required. We will want to review the plan with your contractor. And then talk to the neighbors adjoining the alley, obtain their permission, and come up with an agreement to share costs to bring in a paving contractor to have the alley paved. And we would also encourage that all participating owners have a written agreement as well with the adjoining property owners where the work is being completed. So that is one option if you would like to, or you and your neighbors or a group of you would like to pave an alley on your own accord. We get a lot of questions about potholes. Our location in Pennsylvania is one of the worst for freeze thaw. That is one of the main contributors to potholes. And we fill potholes all year, but primarily from late winter and early spring is when we go out, and usually we use cold patch. So again, if there's a pothole on a borough-owned roadway, please contact Public Works at 610-970-6527, or email Public Works at publicworks@pottstown.org so that we can have a work order created to have that pothole filled. If it is a pothole or an issue on a PennDOT road, this will be PennDOT's responsibility to fix. So High, Hanover, Farmington, Charlotte, portions of King, Arm & Hammer, etc. Call 1-800-FIX-ROAD, and PennDOT will dispatch a crew out to address the situation. PennDOT also has an online system as well where you can go in and submit a roadway feedback request to penndot.gov as well. So at this point, we would just ask the councilors to review the list of roadways that we've provided to you, and if there are any questions or anything that you would like to see differently, please get back to me before Monday night. And assuming that everything is good to go, we would look to put this project out to bid next week with hopefully an award in September.
Very good. Under subcommittees, infrastructure, anything, Councilor Lebedinsky?
No meeting, but we got the monthly email from Mike. If he wants to elaborate, he can. If he's on, yeah. Mike?
Well, there's nothing that necessarily need to elaborate on. I would just say that the latest update that might be reflected in there, missing from there yet, is that we did get the basketball standards for Spruce Street Park. They came in yesterday, so they were installed today. Should have hoops and rims up. Could be as early as Saturday, so that's after post set. So that's for Spruce Street Park. Otherwise, everything is as it is in the report.
Very good. Economic development, Ms. Lee Clark.
I'm sorry, let me turn that on for you. There you go.
Got it. Good evening, councilors and Madam Mayor. Tonight, I'm here to make it clear that PAID is committed to continue to work on collaborative and appropriate solutions which serve our homeless and vulnerable populations. However, PAID must stay focused on our mission to create conditions which stimulate business investment through recruitment and retention by working on solutions of the challenges that our business community is facing. It is for that reason we object to zoning relief for the warming center to be located at St. Al's or any TTN zone. I am aware you have received written comments from some of the business leaders, and I am yielding my time on the agenda with council's permission to any of the business leaders in attendance tonight who wish to comment.
Good evening, councilors. My name is April Barcassi. I'm here representing 4 different entities that have invested in Pottstown here. I'm not usually in front of the mic like this. I represent Pottstown Owners LLC, which owns the property at 159 East High Street. I represent Cedarville Engineering Group, where I'm the president and CEO. Represent 30 North Hanover Street, which is the Mercury Building, as well as Y3, which is an incubator for life sciences, which has been dedicated to the 3rd floor of 159 East High Street. I'm not sure why I'm so nervous this evening, but
Take your time.
I heard a very compelling statement from Mr. Prince, and I am a new Pottstownian, so I appreciate the welcome. I, too, am dedicated to the community overall, as a whole. That's what brought me here. That's why I'm investing in Pottstown. And you'll see that we've submitted 4 different letters associated with these entities, maybe 3, showing our passion for Pottstown and our interest in Pottstown. One of the reasons why we took the chance, and I have all my eggs in this basket, is I believe in the leadership of the community. I believe they will make the hard decisions that need to be made. And that means when you have a zoning district that has certain protections, that you stand by those protections. And only where there's exemplary or extraneous, over-the-top circumstances will you make zoning relief available. Zoning is legal, and it's often emotional. So it's hard decisions that need to be made. I think these opportunities are, that present themselves for uplifting our community are important, and I think they need to be well-placed for success. Just like I've made the choice to place my investment here in Pottstown and all in, but I'm expecting the leadership of the community to stand by the decisions they've made in the past that helped bring me here. So, thank you.
It's too much. The masks, the glasses, it's all too much. My name is Tracy Purdy. I live on East High Street. I do work with the boards of Mosaic Community Land Trust and Pottstown Housing Coalition. However, tonight I'm speaking as a private citizen and not as a representative of either of those organizations. I'm also a small business owner here in Pottstown. We moved here 3 years ago and opened a bed and breakfast on the east end of town. I'm speaking tonight to ask council to allow the zoning request being sought by LIFT for the Al's Heartwarming Center. I'm aware of the letter you received recently on behalf of the downtown merchants in opposition to the zoning exception. My concern is that the zoning is not granted and then the warming center shuts down and we have nothing to replace it. In the letter, I know the merchants expressed concern about people having, leaving the center in the morning and then coming downtown and causing problems. These problems aren't happening because of the work that the warming center is doing, and they won't stop if the zoning request is not granted. Making things more difficult for LIFT with no other solution in place is, I feel, the wrong approach. I know it's been suggested that a homeless center could go near Creative Health, but that location is very difficult to access for that population. A daytime center for these people is needed. That's the solution to the problem, not forcing a shutdown with no other solution in place of the warming center. We look around at each other and wonder who's going to solve this problem, and here's a group who's willing to step up and work on the problem. And I think we should not throw roadblocks up in their way, that we should do what we can to help them. We can lead in this instance. You can lead. You have all the power here. It was granted before. I'm a professional in city planning, and I don't see the harm in extending it, at least temporarily, until another solution can be found. Thank you.
Any others?
Mr. President, if I may, I'm only going to take a minute. I'm a business owner too, and a property owner in town. And I certainly appreciate the young lady's effort in the development of the Mercury building. It's the sort of development that the town needs. But here's the question I posit to all of you. If you don't do it, Where do the homeless go? They go to her business, to her front door, to the front doors of the businesses that led paid to complain, because I saw their letter, because the businesses don't want to be confronted with somebody who's homeless. We're trying to solve that problem. And for somebody to say, well, they could go somewhere else. Get us a free building somewhere else in the community. We're not worried about the transportation. Get us a building that has 5,000 square feet or more that we can reasonably convert, that'll pass zoning muster, because there aren't any like that that'll pass zoning muster, and we would be happy to take that. We're looking at 161 North Charlotte Street because a Pottstonian offered to donate it because he's concerned about the issue and wants to help. And I think we need to applaud every Pottstonian who wants to help, because we're just trying to solve a problem. And if you don't help us solve the problem, it's not going away. And with what's happening with climate, I suggest to you it's only going to get worse. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you to all of you. Transportation. Anything? Okay, ordinance review. Councilor Proskal.
Well, we have a number of changes for you this evening, but regarding the chickens, Trinita was at the meeting, and there's a few more things we need to iron out before it goes to everybody else. Although I'm still, welcome feedback from other counselors as well, if you receive the emails of correspondence during the meeting. And at this point, it doesn't matter so much because people will not be getting chickens until next spring anyway. But hopefully we'll have it figured out by then.
Okay. Thank you. Efficient methods.
We had our first Greenville check-in this past week, went very well. I attended that one. I also had some feedback from the people, from some people who had finished the white belt and intro to lean, and they were very impressed with the training method and delivery. I had approached Justin about possibly extending that year over year for continuing education. So that's in review right now.
Good? Okay, blighted property. Councilor Proskal again.
Usually get my reports on during the Monday meeting, but tonight I want to focus on something in particular, if Justin could pull it up. This is regarding the former Lebanon Good Dairy. And every National Night Out, it's such a good celebration, but it's kind of a shame it's always in the shadow of this. It looks like something out of Syria, frankly. I get asked a lot of questions about it, what the borough is doing to, remedy it, given its condition. And I just want to update everybody that it took a little while to find, the owner, where to, have him, served. So he's been cited, and I understand we'll be, taking him to court as well. If that's true, get the big guns after him. Because I really apologize to everybody that sees this and have to, live next to it. We have several, very dilapidated properties in town, but this one's in the top 3 for me.
You know how many square feet it is?
The warehouse or the warehouse, I'm guessing it's probably maybe 30,000, somewhere around there, maybe 25. I don't know.
It's a couple floors, that's probably close.
It's a warehouse.
Maybe not that much, maybe like 15, 20, I think about it.
Want to add anything? Okay. Thank you. Chief Hand, anything to add to the written report?
Chief Hand isn't here tonight. His report is in your packet.
We have Human Relations, Mrs. Levengood, anything?
Good evening, councilors, council president, and Madam Mayor. Women's Equality Day is August 26th to commemorate the 1920 adoption of the 19th Amendment to the United States Constitution, which ensures voting rights for everyone regardless of gender. Today's Women's Equality Day celebrates the achievements of women's rights activists and reminds us of the unique challenges that women face. The commission participated in National Night Out at the Washington Street last night. It was a very nice evening, and the commission's next meeting is going to be held Tuesday, August the 10th at 6 p.m. in Council Chambers room next door, and all are welcome to attend.
Very good. Land Bank. Anyone here representing the Land Bank? Okay, no. Library. Ms. Hilton.
Yes. Hello, good evening. I have 5 items, quick ones, with what's happening at the library in the month of August. The first one is to remind you that we now have a newsletter on our website, and if you subscribe to it, you will automatically get it in your email twice a month, and that will keep you up to date on everything that's happening also. Riverfront Park is having an event on Saturday, August the 7th, that the library will be participating in from 12 to 4. And we'll be giving out free bags for people to carry their books, their library books in. And we'll be giving out activity bags for the children. And none of the bags will be in plastic, since that was one of the things they're trying to stress, that we should be using less plastic. This summer, the library had something different to do because the Archdiocese of Philadelphia actually called us and said, would the library want to participate in helping needy families with food over the summer to feed their children, rather than, since they're missing their school lunches. And our executive director, Holly Chang, was only too happy to say, yes, we would be happy to do it. And so every Wednesday in the summer, we've been handing out meal kits that contain 7 breakfasts and 7 lunches frozen, a gallon of milk, and a bag of fruit. And there's 2 more Wednesdays left in which to participate in this, August the 11th and August the 18th. So if you have any families in your constituencies that would be able to benefit, please let them know. The distribution is 11 to 1, but they should get there as close to 11 as possible, because it is first come, first served. Also, August the 9th, Monday, August the 9th, the library is having their summer reading program party, and it will be at the library outside, weather permitting, on the west lawn. And if you have a child who would like to attend, please have them call and register so we have enough food and drink for everyone that attends. And then finally, my 5th item is that the library is buying a lot of audio books in a different format from the usual CDs. It's called Play Away audiobooks, and they're for both children and adults, some are for each. And they're very, very tiny little things. I have one right here. It's very tiny, and it works very easily. All you do need to have an earphone to plug in, which plugs in easily. And then you don't need to have a CD player. You can vacuum, dust the house, do gardening while you're listening to both. So they're really neat, and we hope you'll check them out. They're on display in the main floor of the library right now. And that's it. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. Ricketts Center. Councilor Kirkland.
The summer programs are ongoing. Nothing new to report at this time.
Okay. Pottstown School District. Councilor Lindsay.
Okay, I want to congratulate our superintendent, Stephen Rodriguez, for receiving an award from Transformational Leadership Award from Power Schools, an international company. I thought that was I like how Stephen get recognized for his efforts for the school district and all the work that he does for our Pottstown schools. Let me go back. I'm sorry, I got all over the place. And it's August, and we know the kids are going back to school. Yay! Yay! I know parents, you guys are happy. So August 23rd, it'll be full day of schools. And dependent on Montgomery County Office in Public Health, they sent a message saying that they will have to wear masks. So the teachers, everybody in the schools will wear masks. But it's all day, so that's good. And they were going to be going to school in there, so that's good. Yearbooks, pickup times is from 8, this school yearbooks from 9 a.m. to 1. That's Thursdays and Wednesdays at the high school lobby. There's some dates to remember. August 27th is Labor Day, so the schools will be out August 27th. Yeah, Oh, sorry. And Labor Day, they will be also off the 6th, the 3rd and the 6th. Thanksgiving break is November 23rd through the 29th, with early dismissal on November 24th. Winter break will be December 23rd through the 31st, with early dismissal on December 22nd. Spring break will be April 14th through April 18th, with early dismissal April 13th. And last day of school will be June 10th, with early dismissal on June 8th. So those are some dates, and also you can get a calendar from the schools that will also have this information. That's it.
Good, thank you. Madam Mayor, your report.
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Last night, we had National Night Out, which was a success, I think. We had 2 locations, which we normally do, at 60 North Hanover Street and the Chestnut Washington Street Parks. It was a really great turnout, and it makes me happy to be part of this community, to see everyone out and talking to everyone and participating. I lost a hula hoop contest to a 4th grader who's been practicing since she was in 2nd grade. So I wasn't surprised, but I think the last time I hula hooped was probably when I was in 2nd grade and wasn't worried about blowing a disc. But it was really great. We also had our Schuylkill River Greenway Sojourn that they landed in Pottstown. They had a lovely dinner. They camped out. Bouse's catered. It was delicious. And this year they had the most participants in the sojourn that they've had in prior years. And they cut it down a little bit, so it's a little shorter this year. I'm going to try to kayak on Saturday at the community day at Riverfront Park from 12 to 4. There's also free bikes and kayak rentals, and if you get good on the kayak, you can maybe join me on the sojourn next year. We had Water Wednesday, which is every Wednesday, and this is the first one I was able to attend, and I was really excited. So I ran down at noon, ran through the fire hydrant. If you haven't been at noon every Wednesday, if you go on Facebook and you wait to see Wednesday morning where the location is going to be, Parks and Rec will announce that location, and at 12 o'clock they open up the hydrants, and the kids loved it. And YWCA brought Rita's water ice, so it was really, really nice. 423 Chestnut Street Gardens. There is a fairy garden workshop every Thursday at 7 p.m. for the kids. They're working on little fairy gardens throughout. It's very cute. Unfortunately, it's been rained out every other week, but if you are around and it's not raining, stop by on Thursdays at 7. Also, this Saturday is the car show, and everything else you can find on Facebook. So thank you. That ends my report.
Thank you. And our manager's report, Justin.
Yes, thank you. So just a couple things I'd like to update you all on tonight. And just to kind of follow up on Chief Markovich's presentation last month on the fireworks regulations. Over the next few months, the police chief will be working with our borough solicitor to draft ordinance changes to restrict fireworks in the borough to certain days and times. Once the draft language is prepared, it will be placed on a future council agenda for review and discussion by all of you. In the meantime, I've been petitioning our state legislators to repeal or amend the PA fireworks law so that it can be more favorable to the quality of life of our towns and our boroughs. And actually, last Thursday, I had the opportunity to meet with Representative Cerisi and some of my other municipal manager peers in the region, where we were united in expressing to him our opposition to the current fireworks law, and appealed to him for changes. And from my understanding, at this point, it's only being discussed at the state level, and no formal language has been proposed. So I will keep council updated once a bill is brought to the floor so that council might consider supporting action, which would help us improve the quality of life related to these issues. I also met with my grant writer here in the borough to talk about electric car charging stations, and we'll be seeking council approval in the next couple months, hopefully for a grant for charging stations in the borough. And we're also watching closely the discussions on the infrastructure bill, which may also include funding for charging stations as well. So we'll report back on any new info that we find on either of those items. And then just to update everyone, the authority has formed an I&I committee, so an inflow and infiltration committee, which is basically looking at how stormwater is getting into the sewer pipes in town. And they're weighing different options, different approaches that they can take to try to mitigate some of the stormwater that is penetrating into the pipes, because at the end of the day, it causes our treatment facility to be overworked, cost us more in electric, gas, and everything else, wear and tear on all the machinery when we have the stormwater going into our mains. So they're currently contemplating requiring homeowners with defective laterals to replace the laterals at the time of sale. So this would primarily be a lateral that's cracked or clogged or has tree roots in it, something of that nature. Through our research, many municipalities in the region have already had these requirements, and some mortgage lenders actually are now requiring this as a part of their loan approval process. So we'll be sure to update you. I'm sure that if that's the direction that the authority wants to go, we will need to come back to council at some point to have an ordinance or a resolution prepared to effectuate that. I think for a long time, these defective laterals have always been an issue in the borough, and I think for a long time, homeowners and investors have always had severe barriers to investing in Pottstown for a variety of reasons. And what we're seeing now with the market trends in Pottstown, there is an opportunity to get these properties upgraded because when the property is changing hands and there's money on the table, we're going to have a better chance of doing that. So more on that. And then I also did update on the Pico street lighting work, again, to be completed late September and then paving, or completed late August and then paving in September. On the staffing front, we did have our first Ask Me negotiation session, so we've started that process. As you know, we're in a 2-year contract with Ask Me that ends this year. So we do need to have something in place for 2022. And then we also conducted our second quarter uniform and non-uniform pension review. And we have good news to report on that front as well. Over the past 3 years, our funding in those funds have increased from about 75% to 89%. And then year to date, the non-uniform pension is up 27.5% from a year ago, with similar results in the uniform pension as well. And this is mainly due to the outperformance of equity funds and equity markets that we're currently seeing. And over the next several months, advisors will be closely watching the markets, and they may start to slightly reduce some of our exposure to equities given their high values. So all good news there. Lastly, we're in the process of developing a job description for an Assistant Director of Public Works. And unless there are any objections, we plan to fill this position in the upcoming months. There would be no change to the 2021 budget as far as staffing costs for this, as we would be utilize savings realized on wage expenses for this year to date to fund this position. And lastly, I've had some brief communications with the superintendent, and the school board would like to try to set up a joint meeting sometime in the fall. So I will be getting back to him with some potential dates on, I think Thursday night is what they were looking at. And that's it.
Very good. Warriortown Multi-Service Agreement, where are we?
Yes, so the first addendum to the original agreement was essentially prepared based on the original request of Warriortown Multi-Service. So we've left the request unchanged. The term is extended to 3 years to December 31st, 2024. And the borough's contribution is increased from $40,000 in 2022 to $45,000 in 23 and $50,000 in 2024. So I'm told that their board has approved that, and we're just waiting for the signed document to come back to us. And we would be in a position to act on it if you choose on Monday night.
Okay, so if the document comes back, we'll list that for Monday evening.
Correct.
Very good. King Street pedestrian crossing.
Yes, so this is a project that we received Monco 2040 grant funding for to create a mid-block pedestrian crossing on King Street to connect the Carousel and Memorial Park. Also trying to get more safe access between the Colebrookdale Railroad passengers down to the Carousel and the mini golf facility. So that project was awarded at last month's council meeting. And because that project is actually on a state road, and we would like to add some decorative paving to that roadway to kind of set it off, make it a little nicer, a little more visually appealing. PennDOT requires the borough to undertake in a maintenance agreement, similar to what we did for the bike lanes. We are responsible to, repaint the lines every so often, and this is really no different in what they're asking for here. So I've tried to put this up on the screen for everyone to see. I know it's kind of hard to see, but basically what this is, we're looking at two options for this roadway. So the first option would be a textured and colored stamped asphalt paving across King Street where the crosswalk would be in that location. There's also going to be a center island as well, a concrete island, a refuge island is what we call it in the center lane of King Street as a part of this option. And then we're also reviewing a second option with PennDOT, and this would be to put the stamped and colored paving in the center turning lane adjacent to the refuge median. And there's a question as to whether or not PennDOT will permit it in the center lane. So that's the question we have to them right now, because we would actually prefer it to be in the center lane, since the borough is required for maintenance to do the maintenance in the future on this. It's going to incur a lot less wear and tear if it's in the center lane as opposed to in the travel lanes. So this is the type of product. This is similar to what it would kind of look like. And as you can see, it has a texture and a color affixed to it. What we usually see with these in terms of wear is that they tend to wear down on the tire patterns on the roadway. So that's why we wanted to put it in the center median to still give that visual effect, but maybe making it last a little bit longer at the same time. But the nice thing about this product that we've picked is that it's applied in 1-foot sheets. So if a part of the paving starts to discolor or go bad, we can just replace that portion of paving. We don't have to replace the whole thing. So that is the reason why we are asking, or PennDOT is asking for the maintenance agreement for this improvement.
Okay, so we'll list that for Monday evening's action.
Yep.
Good.
Thank you.
And a resolution with PennDOT.
All right, well, sometimes I feel like it's deja vu all over again. So, again, this was the agreement that was approved at last month's council meeting to allow closed-circuit TV at High and Hanover Street and High Street and Arm and Hammer Boulevard so that PennDOT can help to control the traffic signal timing during emergencies, traffic backups, things on 422, et cetera. Well, it turns out that in addition to approving the agreement, PennDOT also requires a resolution to be approved.
Okay. So we'll put that on for Monday. And the mid-year budget adjustments. What are we doing?
Yeah, so just to kind of give everyone a background, the way that the mid-year budget adjustments work is that when we see expenses that are running lower or expenses that are running higher halfway through the year, we're permitted to go in and adjust those expenses by taking the expenses that have ran lower and adjusting those over to the expenses that have run higher. So this can only be done in a single fund. In other words, you can't adjust across funds. You have to adjust within a fund. So this year we took a look at it. We will be providing the detailed budget worksheets for council's review after this meeting for your consideration on Monday night. Most of it was kind of relatively small stuff in nature, things like fuel. We know fuel costs have gone up. We probably didn't budget quite enough for that when we did the budget last year. Things like office supplies also. One of the bigger ticket line items in there that we are recommending adjusting is $40,000 is needed to upgrade the telephone system in Boro Hall. The system that we have is going to be obsolete very soon, and there's also new phone system technology out there that will better allow us to automate calls in the event of emergency or even for scheduling inspections with licensing inspections and so on and so forth. So we would like to transfer $40,000 in the general fund to cover that. Other adjustments that were made had to do with some of the wages that we had misallocated as full-time that were actually part-time wages. So we had them, again, we had the money in there, we just had it full-time instead of part-time. So that we're readjusting as well. Same thing with meter reader wages. We had something in there that were put into regular wages instead of part-time wages, so we want to adjust that. And then we had a vacant water distribution position that was allocated in the 2021 budget. I'm sorry, what we had allocated in the 2021 budget was for consulting services of our former engineering inspector. And it turned out that we did not need that service this year. So we would like to fill the vacant water distribution position that has traditionally existed in the head count, but it was left unfilled because we thought we were going to need outside services. You know, other than that, we did have a couple expenses in the Parks and Rec Department. The Trilogy roof project was delayed, so we'd like to use some of that towards the relocation of the Memorial Park playground relocation. And then there was kind of one bigger ticket item in the Utilities Department for $40,000 related to engineering for the authority on a LT2 UV water compliance project that is mandated by the DEP. So we really had no choice but to do the engineering for that project because we're under a DEP general consent decree to get it done. And that's pretty much the highlights of it. If you have any questions as you go through it, please let me know.
Okay, thank you. It seems I skipped over 14, the zoning ordinance amendments. Do you like to comment? Explain?
I can take it if you want, or, yeah. Yeah, so we have a couple zoning ordinance amendments that we're looking at. We've been meeting with the ordinance review committee and trying to kind of take care of some of the common issues that keep coming up. And one of those was residential driveways. So we're recommending that the zoning ordinance incorporates standards for residential driveways. And then also that driveways and parking areas should be prohibited directly in front of residential dwellings, except that a driveway may be permitted in front of an attached garage facing the street, or else in conformance with a planned residential development within which driveways have already been located in front of the dwelling. So in other words, if your neighbor has a driveway in front of the dwelling, then essentially you would be able to have a driveway in front of the dwelling as well. So kind of a form-based approach to that. Also, we have some definitions for semi-attached dwelling to be revised to have definitions for twins and duplexes, which we don't have right now. Also, recommending adding minimum square footage for dwellings due to the popularity of tiny houses. So they are recommending 800 square feet. The committee is also revising the definition for apartment condo in order to more clearly define the use. Apartment condo would essentially be defined as a building containing at least two dwelling accessed internally via a common hallway or stairwell, or containing at least three dwellings with independent external access via shared hallway or stairwell. Outdoor storage was somehow deleted in a previous zoning ordinance amendment inadvertently, and we'd like to add that requirement back in as it was. And then, as we mentioned, in the TTN business overlay, we wanted to follow up with some commercial uses in that district. And the committee is recommending allowing the following uses as permitted uses where they are now conditional uses. So this would go for existing commercial units when the property is located in the traditional town neighborhood TTN district and abuts a major thoroughfare. So it's not in everywhere in the TTN district, just along major thoroughfares: King Street, Hanover Street, High Street, Charlotte Street, Washington, Moser Road, Keim Street, and Arm & Hammer Boulevard. And it would only be for certain uses, so office, except client-based social service provider, direct retail of less than 3,000 square feet with hours of operation 9 to 8 p.m., direct service less than 3,000 square feet, same hours of operation, and non-alcoholic restaurants with 8 a.m. to 10 p.m. hours of operation. So with these changes, this kind of was brought about by, and I think you've seen a lot of these conditional uses come through in the TTN for some of these businesses, and it was really identified to us as one barrier to business development in the borough, especially small businesses. So we're trying to be proactive and assist them where we can with these changes. But it's important to note that allowing these as permitted uses, this does not include neighborhood convenience stores. So they would still be subject to the same general regulations rather than the more relaxed regulations that we've outlined here. Also in the TTN, looking at revising minimum square footage for existing building, direct retail, direct service, recommending that the 1,500 minimum square footage requirement be eliminated. This is a common request that we get from applicants. And then also kind of the thorn in everyone's side is these traffic studies in the TTN. So the committee is recommending that the traffic study requirement be eliminated for certain existing building conditional uses, and that would be direct retail, direct services, office, and non-alcoholic restaurants.
Okay.
That pretty much summarizes it.
Okay. 16 is the Toss Your Turkey 5K to close College Drive November 25th. Any comment on this? Otherwise, we'll act on it Monday evening.
Yeah, it's a 5K from 8:15 to 9:30, and this is sponsored by Pottsgrove Cross Country.
Okay. We have board vacancies. The Construction Code Board of Appeals need one with a 3-year term and one alternate. Reading that we have Ray Lopez for the 3-year term and Richard Bauer for the alternate. Any other applicants? None? Okay. The EAC, there's a need for one person to fill the 3-year term. No one for that yet. And the Zoning Hearing Board, we need one alternate, and Richard Bauer again has requested to take that place. Okay, 18, Rutledge Curtis, 71 Beach Street, asking for zoning relief. Chuck?
Sure, thanks, Dan. Actually, the zoning relief requested by the applicant in this case is one of the items that Justin mentioned as the committee recommended to eliminate the requirement. In this case, the property does not have 1,500 square feet on the ground floor, and therefore it would not be eligible for the conditional use. So the applicant's seeking a variance from that requirement. If the zoning hearing board would grant that requirement, the applicant would come back to Borough Council for a conditional use. It appears that they would like a direct retail or a direct service use. 71 Beach Street, I'm not sure whose award that encompasses. The only suggestion, Don, that's your,
Yeah.
Is it the north side?
Yeah, north side.
The south side is.
Be north side.
It's the north side.
Yeah,
It's odd.
the only suggestion would be that if zoning hearing board were to consider granting it, we make sure that the proposed use is not a convenience store, but there are other direct retail and direct service certainly that could be appropriate in that location.
Two sisters.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Okay,
So between now and Monday night, if council wants to take any action or position concerning the request for the relief, again, they're asking to not have to meet the requirement of the 1,500 square feet on the first floor.
so Monday evening, if we first agree to change the zoning ordinance,
Well, you wouldn't change the zoning ordinance, the zoning hearing board would grant a variance.
yeah,
If they did that, the applicant then would come back in for one of the permitted conditional uses,
okay,
whatever that might be. We don't know that now, but the only suggestion would be that we make sure that if the zoning hearing board would grant the relief, there be a condition that it not be a convenience store. I don't think it fits anyway, but be a reasonable condition.
okay.
Yeah, and they wouldn't be able to qualify for this new zoning that we're looking at now because we're only at the very beginning of the process for what we're asking these changes. We were just asking for authorization for the solicitor to draft the ordinance for.
Okay, all right. And 19 is Grill Bill, 401 West High Street. What that one?
Sure, this is, and both of these applications were really just received, I guess, last Friday. So they have just gone to the zoning hearing board. We're not even sure when a hearing is going to be scheduled.
September 1st, I'm hearing is when.
September 1st, Jenny? Okay. In this case, I think it's a 5-acre piece of property. It's evolved over time to have a number of uses up in the Gateway West. I believe there's outdoor storage, there's some vehicle storage, there's some commercial buildings, and some repair buildings that are all on the property. The zoning officer had been looking at this property for some time and really wanted the applicant to file for zoning relief to legitimize the uses that were on there because there were 3 or 4 separate uses, and it was kind of difficult to figure out what the uses were. So the applicant did, in fact, request a variance, and so the zoning officer has no issue with the variance request. However, the application itself does also request interpretations or questioning the interpretation of the zoning officer. It also appeals a zoning violation notice. To the extent the applicant would move forward with those requests for relief, I would suggest that council oppose those types of relief, although the variance for the use is not an issue in the eyes of the zoning officer. So Monday night, at least, unless council has other thoughts or suggestions, I think we should recommend council take action to oppose the application with respect to the alternate forms of relief that's being sought to back up your zoning officer's decision, which I believe is a correct decision. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I know it's kind of confusing, but the use itself seems to be okay, but the way to get there is potentially a legal problem.
Yes.
All right, list that Monday as he suggested. 20, comments from citizens present.
Hi, can I speak?
Yes, is that Karen?
Yes, my name is Karen
Just
Van
hold on a
Horn.
second. Yeah, let me just get the list
Okay.
here. Let me just write you down on the list.
Sure.
What's your address, Karen?
259 North Hanover Street.
Okay. Is there anyone else that's coming in virtually or over the phone that would like to speak? I want to get your name down.
Tom Winterbottom.
Okay. Anybody else? All right, that'll complete the list. So first on the list, we had Paul Prince, but it doesn't appear that he's here right now. Second on the list is Bruce Madera. You have 3 minutes.
Thank you. A positive or two. I'm made aware that Senator Yall of Lycoming County and others who were in 2017 behind this very lucrative, disrespectful fireworks law change are kind of changing their mind because they're getting a lot of flack from their own people, and so they should. So there's hope there. I want to compliment several people. Mr. Weber of Inspections, the police chief, and Mrs. Takach. These are people associated with Borough Hall who have talked to me and tried to work with me, so I am complimentary on that. But one thing not so positive, I can't compliment a department manager, a council member, and the mayor for seeming to ignore my recent communications within the past month. Now, I have been a homeowner in this town 38 years, and you seem to have a couple of distinctions when you have so many years. You can get cited for a lot not yours for care of it 3 years in a row. I myself had a small problem with trash pickup in June into July, and a Public Works employee told me, well, we can't make Mascaro do anything. We can just tell them, and we can't make them do anything. I thought we had rules for the trash company. So I dared, in my old age, to call Pat Mascara, the president of the trash company, and the problem was solved in 4 days by the following Monday. I happened to talk to him a couple of years ago, and we got acquainted. Now, my question is, why does a citizen paying the taxes we do in this town have to go around McDonald's Farm to get something done because borough employees can't make anybody do anything? They can make us citizens repair our houses, and we don't have the money sometimes after we pay our taxes in this town. I will stop there before I'm shut down. Thank you.
Thank you. Tracy Purdy, you good? Okay. All right. Karen, go ahead and unmute yourself. Whoop. Go ahead. Yeah.
Hi, again, I live at 259 North Hanover Street, which is directly across from the warming center. So I'm not sure if you guys are aware, and I have been in contact with the mayor. I've been in contact with several city council members. So the warming center opens at 8 o'clock at night. However, at 4:30 in the afternoon until 8 o'clock, people congregate. I've been witnessed, I was actually on the phone with the mayor when I witnessed the gentleman peeing on the church. I've had homeless people knock on my door asking me for cigarettes and money. I had another homeless guy come to my door asking me if I gave him $40 and my lawnmower, he'd cut my lawn. There was homeless people, a gentleman bathing himself in the parking lot across right next to my house, which is owned by the Red Horse. I was a witness to homeless people walking across the street trying to climb over the Red Horse fence, peeing inside the Red Horse property on the fence. So there's no safety measures for the warming center. And don't get me wrong, homelessness is a problem. However, I don't think anybody's aware of the safety concern. I live by myself. No one knows the mental state of these people. It's a hazard to the community. And that, now during the time that they're in there from 8 o'clock until 8 in the morning, they're allowed out for cigarette breaks. The screaming and hollering and fighting that's going on. There was a gentleman rolling around on the sidewalk. Someone had to call an ambulance. So, I mean, there's definite safety concerns. There's not a lot of houses across the street, but I am definitely one of them. I witnessed this all the time. It went on from December to April. And I am vehemently against this because it is an absolute safety hazard. When homeless people are on my property, asking me for money, trying to, just harass me. I pay $8,000 a year in real estate taxes, $8,000. My mortgage payment is $742. My escrow is $666 for my escrow is just as much as my mortgage for the real estate taxes that I pay. And I have complained to the mayor. I sent her the picture of the guy peeing on the wall when I was on the phone with her. I got no response back. I've contacted several city council members. No one really responds. Until this stuff is like right next to your house, and it doesn't seem like anybody really cares. So I am absolutely against this warming center. And I'm not like stick it someplace else. But however, there are absolute safety. My personal safety is at risk. And I'm a taxpayer in this town paying $8,000 a year in real estate taxes. So I need, you guys don't live here to see this, but I'm witnessing this the entire time. And I'm personally affected by this. My grandchildren come over here. I'm worried about their safety. Once the warming center kicks them at 8 o'clock, they just wander around all the properties here. And beforehand, they're congregating 3 hours beforehand to get into the facility. I called Tom, who runs the program. His response to me was sarcastically, well, just call the cops. You're running the program. There has to be safety measures if this is going to be there. And I don't, it really needs to stop. So, I mean, I'm begging you, please do not renew this contract. Don't, because it is an absolute safety hazard. The mental condition of these people, I don't know. I could get stabbed,
10 seconds.
on my front. So that's what I have to say.
Thank you. All right. Tom Winterbottom, you're up, sir.
Yes, sir. My friend Justin, I would like to know from the council people, what is the condition of the drinking water supply in our town?
It's the water is safe to drink. You can
Okay.
you can go on our website and you can look at our annual drinking water quality report that we post up there, and that will give you a better idea.
Also, that problem that you guys are having earlier with the EPA stuff is over with.
Yeah, I think the DEP is still looking into that, but they've said that it is safe to drink.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay.
That's it.
Very good. Counselor Lindsay, any comments?
Sorry, I was reading those emails. Yes, give me a second, gotta get in my thing. I want to, I want to send out a special thank you to Bishop Michael Anthony and the Heart of God Family Worship Center for bringing a pop-up skate park on Beach and York Street. I shared it on some of the pages and on my council page and my personal page. This was amazing. He put a pop-up skate rink. I'm mad I wasn't there because I would have went out and bought me some skates and I would have showed them kids how to skate. But since then nobody tell me that was on purpose but anyway, it was really, I mean, from the pictures, John Armato had posted the pictures. It was really nice and just another reason why I picked Pottstown, and our village is just amazing. Also, if you guys need me to protest for fireworks and fair funding, I can knock two birds with one stone. I can go right to Harrisburg and we can get a whole bus load of people and we can fight for the fireworks and for fair fund. We can do it all in one skedaddle. I'm willing to go to jail for that. I'm willing. I'm willing to catch a charge. So let me know. And I'm doing this for you guys. Pottstown, I'm doing this for you guys. What else? Oh, National Night Out. It was amazing. It was really nice. Got to see everybody. Got to see the DA. Our police was out there. Council was out there. Of course, the mayor was there. So it was really nice. I like it. I had fun. I had my little councilwoman with me, my grandbaby. She's a councilwoman in training. I mean, she's 5 now. Do the math. That's, that's how long it's going to take her to be a councilwoman. So we had on our straight out of the 4th Ward T-shirts. I got a little one for her, so my grandbabies have their own T-shirts. So I think I'm in the lead now. I don't have Michael to fight with right now,
I'm
but
just giving your word, like you just win.
I know.
Like the only one who participated.
I mean,
so.
I know. I know this. So anyway, but it was really nice. And special shout out to the DJ that was there. He was awesome because he was playing Michael Jackson. He was playing all the good music. It was just nice. It was really nice. It was nice to see everybody out there. So that's it for me.
Is it? Okay, it appears we missed one.
Yeah, my apologies. Someone came in through chat before the public comment period started. So, Tom Nyros, would you like to speak now? Feel free to unmute yourself. You have 3 minutes.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. My name is Tom Nyhas, 846 East High Street here in Pottstown. I'm also the executive director of Pottstown Living in Faith Together. I wasn't going to come on as that, but did want to just publicly say that I had thought Karen and I had resolved that issue, and to mitigate anything like that this upcoming season, we are going to be picking up and transporting the guests. We are not going to allow the guests outdoors to smoke during the time at the shelter. And in the morning, we will be driving them to the Pottstown Recovery Learning Center, away from the property and residential areas. Now, for the main reason I wanted to speak, just as a citizen, is about I'm seeing more and more flags hung up in people's windows, off of people's vehicles, that display profanity. You were talking about the fireworks and quality of life, and I have a strong belief that this affects the quality of life of our community. And I did speak to the police about it. They said it's freedom of speech. But when there's children walking around, there's school teachers, there's YWCA walking around with pre-K and kindergartners, and summer camps, I just really think that affects the quality of life. And this is not politically motivated in any way. This is just strictly profanity being displayed in public areas. And that's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, how about Councilor Kirkland? Comment? Discussion?
Yeah, just quick comment about what Karen was saying. if people are out there congregating 3 hours before, you know, it's my it's my belief that someone from the facility should be out there, at least out there, supervising or looking around, or just, you know, something. There should be some representation, representation out there. If people are gathering 3 hours before that, that's just my thought. Um, Other than that, no. I wish I was there today. It was my intention to be here today, but just got a meeting today at my job that someone at my job family had an outbreak at their house. So our office is closed for the next 2 days. So I thought it just wouldn't be safe for me to come in today. So other than that, you know, I believe that's it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ryan?
It was a perfect day for National Night Out. Usually it's either raining or like 105 degrees or something like that. And the boys had a lot of fun. It was like almost like Halloween with nachos. So
Good. You like a bouncer?
yeah, I did. Yeah, pretty good amount of the bounce house. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm sorry. This is Lisa Vanny. I'm here too.
Oh, didn't see you on screen. Go ahead.
I'm gonna turn my video on now. I don't look the best. I ended up in the hospital this week, yesterday. So I don't have much to say, but I do appreciate the people that have come out to voice their concerns and their opinions to the meeting. That is a strong belief of mine that if you have issues, you have a right to have your voice heard at that meeting. I had spoke to Karen months ago, and I do hope some of those issues get resolved. She has reached out a couple of times. Also, the issue with Mascaro, I had found myself when I called, now I'm part of an HOA, so it's different than the Boro, but it's the same company. And I couldn't get a recycling bin for 2 weeks that was delivered to me broken. I called and it took 2 hours. So there is some issues there. When you call yourself, you seem to get the issues resolved. But as the gentleman that spoke, when you're paying for something, you shouldn't have to be the one to do that. So I just wanted to touch on that a little bit, that I hear you and I understand what you're saying. So I won't continue to go on, but please take care of your health, because you never know when something just completely out of the ordinary is going to happen and put you in a hospital. So, and I want to thank the people that have taken care of my animals and my home since I've been gone. So I appreciate that. And thank you for letting me join the meeting remotely and giving me a chance to speak. Have a good day.
Do get well.
Thank you.
Okay. Don.
Well, we had an Olympiad in the last couple of weeks. Unfortunately, she didn't qualify. She came in 5th. She didn't qualify. Her name was Peyton Ridenauer, I believe it. Peyton? No, it was Ridenauer. I just couldn't remember her last name. But I wanted to still extend our congratulations to her. We're proud of her.
Yes.
We have.
And I wish Lisa well, and hope she gets well soon. And I can't reiterate more than the National Night Out and how great it was, and everybody else and how wonderful everybody is. So thank you.
Mayor?
Just real quick, I wanted to respond to a comment made by Karen. I was under the impression, as was Tom, that had been, those issues had been resolved. After we spoke, I talked to Tom, and it was my understanding that the individuals were moved to the back of the building. So I just encourage people, if you're calling in to voice a complaint to us and you don't see anything happening or it gets worse, please call us back, because when we do something about it and we go to the right people and get things taken care of and we don't hear back, we're under the impression that everything's fine. So because I didn't hear back from you, I thought that issue had been resolved.
It wasn't.
Oh, Bruce, I agree. I'm sorry. Yes, I did not call you back. I apologize. You are on my to-do list. Yes. That being said, I wish everyone a very safe August. Unfortunately, I think we're in for a very rude awakening. So just ask that you be careful, be safe, and I have a feeling masks mandates are going to be coming back. So please just be safe, be courteous, wash your hands, and try to social distance. Thank you.
Okay. Number one, do get well, Lisa. We miss you up here. And I too was at National Night Out. My wife and I actually did both locations. This year's weather was phenomenal. I've been to the night out when it is so boiling hot. You don't know what to do. And I've also been rained out from time to time. But this year, everything came together. So perfectly wonderful night. I met a lot of people, talked to a lot of people. Watched Ryan chase his boys. You wouldn't go in the bounce house with them, but
No one broke
it was a great evening. We should do it again next year. And with that, meeting adjourned.